cheeseburgers with hot dogs inside. Absolutely inspired. Pizzas with a cheeseburger crust. Again, inspirational. Overseas, a wacky new plan to put pizza toppings on fried chicken. So the base is fried chicken. Food mashups are getting absolutely crazy. What is the deal behind these promotions? Are they simply publicity stunts, or are they actually what customers like you and I want? Auckland University Senior Marketing Lecturer Mike Lee joins me now. How are you, Mike?
Good, thank you, Paul.
See, this is the interesting thing, because this wouldn't be consumer-driven, because there's no consumer that would have thought, God, if only this pizza was surrounded by beef burgers, which you can now buy. So why are companies doing this?
Well, you're right. Often the consumer doesn't know what they want, especially when it's something this crazy. Some companies have opened up this sort of production of crazy mashups to the consumer base to see what crazy ideas they come up with. But often it is down to the companies wanting to innovate, and obviously the fast food industry is very crowded, very saturated, so they have to constantly keep things fresh. And there's a certain percentage, especially of their target markets, that are what we call novelty seeking. And so if you have this novelty, that will bring maybe new customers to the door.
Okay, so the novelty brings the new customer in, but they don't intend to keep it there as a long-term product.
Absolutely. I mean, these companies, once again, are based on massive efficiencies and scales, economies of scale. So there's always a balance to be had between keeping the menu fresh, but also, keeping things efficient. And so sometimes we see these things, and certainly having a limited time offer does increase that sort of sense of urgency. Oh, I better try this crazy fried chicken covered in bacon before
Is it weird? Like, let's talk the pizza, for instance, because I think the first one of these truly it started with the stuffed crust pizza. So someone thought, oh, there isn't quite enough room on this 25-foot long pizza to put enough cheese. Let's stuff the cheese around the edge. And then someone else thought, oh, let's turn the cheese into hot dogs and then beef burgers. This flies in the face of obesity campaigners and healthy food nuts that seem to be everywhere. Are these companies, do they just not care about that?
I think the market that they're in for is not the type that is going to be worried about what you stuff into a crust.
Really?
Yeah, exactly. And so the pizza crust is really interesting because it's the kind of the least attractive part of the pizza. So you see all these companies thinking, we've got this real estate on the edge of the pizza. How can we make that real estate more interesting? Let's stuff a sausage in there. Let's put a hamburger on top. Maybe let's coat it with bacon and fried chicken.
Now what'll happen is you'll have people leaving the middle bit and just eating the crusts.
Yeah.
How far does this go? I mean, is this a fad at the moment, or do you think that this has got legs?
I don't think it'll stop. I think this need for innovating into their, what is quite a limited menu is going to keep going, and we're going to just see more and more crazy combinations, I think.
Is it? I mean, I look at something which is pretty tame in the great scheme of things, like the KFC Tower Burger, where they've just thought, why not stick a hash brown in? For no good reason other than the fact that you maybe are going to buy one of those separately anyway. Let's just stick it in the burger. Then you've got Burger King, on the other hand, who are just saying, well, rather than having a side of chips, let's put the chips in the burger too. Is it to a degree, is it a sensible idea, or these things are just gimmicks?
Well, it's a bit gimmicky, but with those two examples you gave, they're actually quite clever because these are parts of the menu that are already in production. So it doesn't really...
So it's not tricky.
It's not tricky. They just slap it in there. Whereas coming up with a crust that involves a completely different ingredient within it does interrupt, I guess, the supply chain of that company. So that's a little bit more challenging.
Okay, so your view, Mike, is that this will continue?
Yes.
And it does work in terms of getting people in.
Yeah,
or actually the other thing it does, and actually the Double Down that did this for me, I stopped going to KFC just because, I don't know why. I just stopped going, and then all of a sudden Double Down's got me back into KFC.
Yeah, it'll get you in through that door at least the one time. You try it, you feel sick, you might not try it again.
Many times. No, many times. Every time the Double Down, every time I pass the KFC, I go in and get a Double Down, which is how come I've got this physique. Mike Lee, thank you very much for joining us. Always good to talk to you. Auckland Uni Senior Marketing Lecturer.